so sad. This is so sad. This is so sad. I'm going to tell you what just happened here. So, as you see this down here? It says, "Welcome to Locs Talk Live with Pammie." I'm trying to use a new software to do my Locs Talk Live. And Lord have mercy upon me. I did not hit go live on the software to to start. So I was like, why nobody in here? And what threw me off is because um, somebody came in, she came in and she greeted me. So I thought she could see the live. And I'm like, why can't she see me and I can't see me on here? Because I'm looking. And I sat here and talked for almost 30 minutes. Child, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do this again. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. And I'm still giving you your hour. I'm sorry I'm late. Sorry I'm late. Come on in, come on in, come on in the room. Um, it's embarrassing. But I don't care because all the stuff that I was saying, trying to figure stuff out in the beginning, y'all ain't see that. So I ain't gotta do I don't have to edit that out. Okay, so hi. Hello, welcome to Locs Talk Live with Pammie. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Pammie. Hi. Come on in. And yeah, I'm gonna deal with that one back there later. Because I know y'all heard that. Welcome, come in, say hi in the chat, please, so I know who's in here and everything. I'm so sorry about the lateness. I thought all that time that I was live and I was not. Because I am testing out a new streaming software. See that little duck up there in the corner? Am I pointing at it? Yeah. That says StreamYard. That is the software that I'm testing to see if I like using it. And I'll give you an example because like when I'm answering questions, I can hit the comment and your comment will come up over here. And then I'll be able to answer your question. So as I'm answering the question, you will be able to visibly see on the screen what question I'm answering and things like that. So first and foremost, I'm Pammie. Um, I'm Pamela, affectionately known by everybody as Pammie. I am a loctician, a lockologist, and a natural hair care specialist, organic natural hair care specialist. I always forget to put that in there. The reason why I say organic natural hair care specialist is because I care for your natural hair in its natural state. I do not alter your hair with use of chemical treatment or high heat. I do protective styles in your hair and things like that, but that is all. Okay. Okay, Lele. Hi, girl. How you doing? I was in here talking the whole time, thinking that I was live. Child. Mm, 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 so if you're in here, hit that like button, share if you want to bring somebody else in there, to be a part of this talk because this conversation is for all hair. It's not just for locks, but it is for all hair. So I'm a loctician as well. I've been certified as a loctician for the better part of 8 years now. I started my apprenticeship to become a certified loctician when I locked my hair. So I've been locked a little over 8 years now. So I immediately went into an apprenticeship to learn how to take care of my hair. Behind me, my sons all became locked, as well as a few close family like friends and my clientele grew from there. I was doing hair part time and stuff like that. Yeah, can you hear me okay now? Please tell me, okay? Um, so yes, that's what I do. And lockologist is simply a person who studies locks. Anything that's followed with ologist is a person who studies something. Ology is the study of something. So that's why I have the title of lochologist because I continue to study locks. It is a ever evolving community, and I need to stay up to date with everything. So I consistently study hair and how it reacts as it is locked and things like that. You went into 710, or there was a tech difficulty. Yes, I can hear you. Okay, great, great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Do me a favor, Lele. Remind Lisa that I'm in here. She probably tried to come in here and didn't realize what was going on either. So I would appreciate that. Okay. Thank you. Love you. Okay. Put that back up there. So, what am I going to talk about today? Today on Locs Talk Live, I am going to talk about something very important, and it's to dissect and give you a better understanding of what your hair type is. Because your hair type is more than just a number and a letter. And oftentimes, when I see advertisement of um, hair products for our hair, it's always honed in or focused in on 4C, 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 4C. So within our community, there are so many people that think they have 4C hair when they actually do not. And it's, again, more than just that little number and letter that tells you your hair type. And I'm going to say hair type like this because hair type goes beyond the little chart with the squiggly lines on it. So let's talk about the chart with the squiggly lines, right? The chart with the squiggly lines on it is generally um, focused more on your curl pattern. So if you see like 1A and it's a straight line, that's more straight European hair, right? And the more the curls get more curly and the texture gets more thicker, the numbers and letters go higher. So 1A is straighter hair. 2, 1A, B, and C is straight European hair, right? Then 2 is thicker, but with a little bit of a wave. 3 is even thicker, but a little more of a coil curl. And I'm within the threes. Like I have a thicker hair, but my curls are like spirals, right? And then 4, the curls are much tighter and the texture is getting thicker and thicker and thicker as we go in. So 4, level 4 is the thickest of hair. Now let's talk about the structure of your hair because the structure of your hair is very important to understand why it is important to know more than that you have 3C or 4C and so on and so forth. Hey Lisa, how you doing? Um, so don't forget to hit that like button when you come in. And give me some input on this StreamYard software if y'all like it, and it's because I want to know if I want to keep it or not. Okay. So let's go back into it. So let's look at structure. The structure of your hair is made up of 4 elements, right? And there's one unmentionable. That's not talked about enough. So the 4 elements, right? Well, no, it's really 4 elements. Curl pattern, that's the little chart with the lines, all the little squiggly lines, right? Then there is the texture. The texture of your hair determines how thick or thin your hair is. Then there's the density of your hair. And the density of your hair determines how much of your hair is growing out of your scalp. And finally, there is the porosity of your hair. That's the amount of water that it can retain and absorb. Okay. So let's rewind and let's dissect the hair type, starting with the structure. Now, the structure, again, comes down to the one unmentionable that I did not mention. Your hair is made up of keratin protein. Keratin protein are the bonds that hold your hair together and makes it strong. That gives it its tensile strength and determines how much you can pull it before it breaks and things like that. It's really the DNA of your hair. It is what makes your hair, right? So that's the unmentionable. Everybody has keratin protein in their hair, and this is why it's unmentionable. And also something that should be spoken about often. It's important to speak about it often. Okay, so let's move forward and talk about the texture of your hair. This is the second layer of your structure, right? We talked about the first one. That's the curl pattern. How curly is your hair? You can go from straight to wavy to coil to the zigzag curl, right? Then number two, texture. How thick or thin your hair is. Now, the texture of your hair is made up of 3 layers for most people. Everybody doesn't have these 3 layers. Everybody does have the first 2. So let's talk about it. The first layer of your hair texture is the outermost layer. See how my hands are laying? Now think about if I had thousands of these laying on the outside of each hair strand, like scales, like fish scales, right? Those are called cuticles. The cuticles generally lay flat like this, but not always. And I'm going to get back into why that is when we talk about porosity. So the outermost layer of your hair is the cuticle. The next layer just beneath that is the cortex. Just beneath that is the cortex, right? So that's that little wall that's right beneath that. That's the part of your hair that takes in all the nutrients and goodies and stuff that your hair needs in order to keep that keratin protein strong and just nurture and give your hair all the goodies that it needs to stay healthy, right? From moisture to omega-3s and all of those different things that you need to put in your hair to keep it going and healthy and strong and beautiful and vibrant. The third layer, as your hair gets thicker or coarser, that's where the third layer comes in. So everyone has cuticle and cortex, but the third layer, the innermost part of the hair, is called the medulla. medulla, medulla. And the medulla is the strongest part of thicker hair. That's what makes it so thick and whoa, yeah. You ever met a person that got that really thick hair, like super thick? They have the 3 layers, right? A person has really coarse hair, like a 4C, where the hair's really shrunken up and it's really thick. I call it where sometimes it looks like broccoli before you comb it out. Yeah, that is a 3-layer texture of hair. So texture is the thickness of hair. Now, hair is where it gets tricky. Y'all ready? Density. Density is not the thickness of your hair. The density is the number of hair strands that grows per square inch from your scalp. So a person could have 3-layer thick hair with low density. What do I mean? Their hair, like if they had it out, it'd just be full, right? But then when you see them go get their hair braided in, so they have to get it parted in the grid pattern, and you see it, at the, you're like, wow, you real scalpy. You look like, is your hair thinning? No, their hair's not thinning. Their hair is thick. They just don't have a lot of hairs that grow out from their scalp. So it's thick enough to make their hair full, but the density can still be low because density comes in 3 levels. There's low density where it's really thin and fine at the root, right? And then there's medium where it matches with the person's hair. They have medium thickness to their hair and medium density. So it just looks like a full head of hair. My hair is like that, right? And then there is high density. Not only does this person have really thick hair, but they have a lot of hair growing out of their scalp. So it's like you're wearing a blanket on your head all the time. It's like your head is just hot because it's thick density plus thick hair. That's hot. That's hot. That's personal summers all year round. You ain't never got to wear a hat. Oh, that's that level of, yeah. Okay. So All of those factors play in to your hair. Now, that's part porosity. Now, I'm going to give you porosity. Porosity, there's 3 levels of hair porosity, right? The first, low porosity. Remember when I talked about the cuticles? Hey, hey, keto. Hi. So, low porosity, your cuticles are laying like this. They're flat and they sealed and they're closed. Ain't nothing getting in there. Like you have to fight to get anything in there, even moisture. Like, yeah. Most people that I have that have low density hair, low porosity hair, always inspired to do steaming and you know things like that. That helps to get moisture into their hair because it's really hard to penetrate those cuticles. Once moisture penetrates them, the hair definitely is going to hold on to that moisture for a good amount of time. So a lot of times, if you have low porosity hair, once that water's in there, it's going to take a good while before your hair dries. It takes a while, right? Medium porosity hair, the cuticle is like this. See how my hand is slightly open? It's open enough to allow moisture to get in there, but it's closed enough to retain it for a good amount of time so that your hair is, get a good drink of water, right? Or moisture. Now, high porosity, the cuticles are wide open. The cuticles all the way open like this, right? Now think of this as a mouth. If you pour water in and then I go like this, the water's going to fall back out just as quick, right? So what happens is with high porosity hair, it takes in water very quickly. It does not retain moisture very long, and it dries very quickly. This is why a person with high porosity hair, I recommend using more thick and dense moisturizer creams and everything so it can stick and hold for a minute. And they don't have to constantly be moisturizing your hair. I'll give you an example of what can happen with high porosity hair that's been processed. The person, how many of y'all remember Jerry curls? Now, everybody that I can see in the chat right now are old enough to know what Jerry curls are, right? And how many of y'all seen Hollywood Shuffle? Y'all remember the do the Jerry curl and they poured out his activator and his hair just dried out like crazy and he was like literally dying. It's an exaggeration, but it ain't far from the truth. If you ever heard of, and if you heard of Jerry curl, y'all definitely heard of the S curl, the texturizer, the famous texturizer that came around before Just For Me and all of that stuff. Texturizers, if you look next to the box, there's this whole array of different moisturizer creams and sprays and stuff that you also have to buy. And little sample sizes of them come in the box. So it's not an option. You have to buy that in order to maintain the moisture of your hair. And part of the reason is because the chemical processing of it causes your porosity to change. You can go from here to here. You can go from having low porosity to slightly more open. So it depends on what you start out as with your version here. It can change. Even conditioner can change the porosity of your hair a little bit. Not very much, but it still can. It can change the texture of your hair. And it also, a lot of conditioners, again, has silicone in it. So it creates this barrier, not allowing moisture to get in. So all these things are very important. So your hair care, it's not a one size fit all thing. That's why I don't talk about hair care like it's one size fit all, because it's not one size fit all. What is good for the goose ain't always good for the gander. But I can sit here and say, oh, all you need is 3 little spritzes of moisturizer and a little bit goes a long way. Yeah, that works for me. I have medium porosity hair. It's the easiest to maintain. It don't take much to get in. It doesn't take much to hold it. I don't have to do it that often. If I had low porosity, I'll be sitting here until and massaging and trying to get it in there because it's not going to get in there. What it will do, it'll beat up, and eventually, if I shake it, it'll just roll right off my hair. So I got to make sure I am able to penetrate my hair. So generally, if you have low porosity hair, I would recommend go take a shower, especially with a lot of clients. If you have low porosity hair, go take a shower. Let the steam from the shower help open up those cuticles, and then do your moisture routine. The refresher spray will get in there much easier because you kind of like plumped up your cuticles, let them open a little bit. They're gonna close back eventually, but they're gonna be open enough for you to do your moisture routine. So all of these different factors, it's more than 3A, it's more than 4C, it's more than all of these little number and letter. So hair type, it's more than just 4C. It's more than just 3B. You have to know your texture. You have to know your density. You have to know your porosity. All of those factors determine what you need to do to maintain your hair and how much of it to use to maintain your hair. So you may not be able to factor out what these things are for yourself. And if you are a do-it-yourselfer like me, hi Distractible Me, how are you? Yeah, that's girl back in the day. Hey, I think all of us had some kind of a texturizer that we played with back in the day. From a relaxer to texturizer and all that stuff. My mama had a Jerry curl. She taught me how to put a Jerry curl in by having me put hers in. Right. So with that being said, if you are doing yourself like myself, right? Now I was able to also determine what my hair was like because again, I was trained long ago at home. My mother was a cosmetologist, so she taught me and my sisters, and she taught us well. And what I didn't learn at her home, I learned in school. I had an opportunity to take a course when I was in high school to get my certification, so I learned everything else. But I continued to study on the side outside of that because there's so much more stuff now that wasn't taught to me back then. So don't get it twisted because somebody got 30, 40 years of experience. If they haven't been continuously educating themselves, that experience don't mean jack. You have to educate yourself. It's very important. And I stay educating myself. And I'm not talking about on YouTube University. I actually buy books and read stuff. Like um it's not to knock YouTube University. It's just a lot of amateurs on here that are experimenting and saying, "Oh yeah, this works." And you have to be very, very careful with that, please. Even the stuff that I tell you, everything that I'm talking to you about, it's researchable. At the end of the day, trust your own instincts and what you know. Don't just say, "Oh well, she said it, so that's it." Don't do that. Always fact check. No matter who's giving you the message, always fact check the information that you are getting. But everything that I'm sharing with you is researchable. So fact check, fact check, fact check. Okay? So hair goes deeper than just a number and a letter combo, right? What is hair structure? Hair structure is made up of 3 layers, which we talked about. That's what? The texture, the density, and the porosity. Now, again, that little chart generally just tells you what your curl pattern is. That's the fourth, unmentionable, as well as what makes up your hair, the keratin protein, which everybody has. And it needs to be talked about more so people understand how it gets destroyed. Constantly putting high heat in your hair destroys your hair keratin. If you've ever seen heat damage, how many of y'all in here has had a relaxing your hair in your past? Right? And then you get new growth, and your new growth is thick, but then your relaxed hair is all stringy and scraggly. That's what heat damage looks like on natural hair because it destroys the curl pattern of your hair and everything. Like you will see where the heat damage is because it's really stringy and scraggly. It literally looks like over processed relaxed hair on the ends where it's stringy, and then you have the healthy roots, and you have to cut off that stringy nut. That stringy stuff don't work. So let's look at this. Distractible. She said had the Jerry curl as a teen, so greasy. Jesus, yeah, yes, and Jesus, that yes, definitely was greasy. Didn't nobody want that, right? Um, what else was there? With all of that being said, it's very important to make sure you understand those three things. Now, if you do your hair at home, as I started to say, 5 minutes ago, and still didn't answer you, if you are a do-it-yourselfer and you need to really know what your hair structure is made up of, your texture, your curl pattern, density, porosity, but you're unable to really determine what those things are, that's a time to spend a little bit of money and schedule a consultation. You don't even have to go and get your hair done. You can just like, you can go get your hair washed while you're there if you want to, just to treat yourself a little bit. But do a consultation with the cosmetologist who's educated with a background to do that for you and give you that information. With that information, then you can build and structure a routine or a regimen of how you're going to take care of your hair. That is the best way to really strive with your hair being healthy, because a lot of times the people will find something that works fantastic for their hair and they want to share it with the world. And that's great. But you have to remember, everybody doesn't have the same kind of hair. What works for you may not work for the next person. So I don't like to advertise how something may have worked. And it can work for most, but it may not work for you. So I'm always constantly coming up with different formulated plan Bs for people who the overall plan may not work for. Um, so again, with the density of your hair, that's real important. Very, very important to have an understanding. Now, it was a time just to test the theory of who was working in my hair. And you can always know when somebody's working in your hair when you ask them to give you certain information and they can't provide that for you. You might want to get up. I watched a video the other day on TikTok. Yeah, I watch TikTok. Sometimes I get bored and I just don't want to watch TV. And I had to catch myself because I found myself getting a little bit annoyed because it was another one of the not advocating for herself stories where, I ain't say nothing because I had to get my hair done. Listen, stop doing that. That is not the only person that can do for your hair what you need to have done for your hair. If a person is being negative, if they're talking crap about you, especially if there's a language barrier and they'll talk about you in a different dialect and you happen to know the dialect and you know what they're saying, you need to open your mouth and check them, because I'm not about to sit there and let you talk crap about me with your hands in my head. You have to understand something. Your hair is the closest to your crown chakra. So that energy exchange of somebody being negative about you is going all up in your stuff. No, your hair ain't got to be done that damn bad. Like, seriously, speak up. Don't sit there and let it happen. Pay the money. And she honestly thought that she was doing something by not tipping her. But what she had done to her hair was still extremely expensive. I would have stopped and been like, no, I gotta go. Like, I'm not doing that. Don't let people with negative attitudes about doing your hair touch your hair. If they don't want to do it, that's fine. That negative energy is not good for you or your hair, and it will transfer. I guarantee you. I've seen people leave the salon with a bad attitude or feeling worse than they did when they went in because of how they were spoken to, treated, or spoken about by the person that was handling their hair. Stop not speaking up. And you ain't got to fight with people. You ain't got to be a jack. You ain't got to be disrespectful. You know, you can still be graceful and still maintain your character. But you need to check when people are behaving like that, right? So, hair type is a small guidance. Going back to that, the little chart. A lot of times I see hair products being advertised for our hair, and it's focused and honed in so much on 4C as if all people of color has 4C hair, which is absolutely 100% false. My hair is not 4C. Most of my people of color clients are not 4C. I have maybe three or four out of the entirety of my clientele that's a 4C. Um, so yeah, you have to be careful with understanding your hair type, and don't focus so much. It's like the best way I can give you an analogy of not focusing so much on the letter and number combination in the little chart is sort of like if you look at a person like in a weight loss, don't focus so much on what the scale is saying, but more so on how many inches you're losing, the percentage of fat you're losing, how your energy is, raising up, how your health is changing for the better, because the scale is just that, a scale. I always say a scale gaslight people. It does. Um, I'm a big girl. A lot of times when the person that gets my weight and they'll be way off. I don't know if they're trying to be modest and thinking they're going to hurt my feelings by telling me the truth, or they just. But then when they learn what my weight is, they be like, "No, you are not that heavy." Yeah. When I look in the mirror, I don't see my weight when I look in the mirror. I see I'm a big girl, but I don't see what I would imagine in my mind a person who weighs what I weigh would look like. So don't get so focused on a little chart, 2A, 3B, 4C, and say, okay, I'm going to treat that hair. What does that make up? You can put two people with the same hair texture. I'm a 3B, 3C. That's my hair texture. It took my hair years to look like this in my life journey. If you look in my reels in the back, like when you first opened my YouTube channel, there's a video of my journey. And in the beginning, you see how weird and wonky my hair looked. Like I almost gave up. That's how my hair looked really ridiculous. So this is why I'm able to support my clients that go through it in the beginning throughout their starter phases, because they're like, what is going on with my hair? And I'm like, we'll get you through this. I'm able to support them through it because I can empathize on a personal level. I went through it myself. So I understand. Um, but knowing your hair structure would absolutely make it easier for you to take care of your hair the way you need to maintain the health of your hair. Okay. To take care of your hair the way you need to keep it healthy in every way, right? Now, are there any questions before I move forward with this? Talk to me. You give me some chips? I don't have that. Sorry. If you can post some questions in there,
And I'm going to March because nothing's open in Geisel right now.
It is.
What's open in Geisel?
Food Universe.
I'm not going to Universe. This shit is mad expensive.
Mm-hmm.
I can see what I can get you from the stationery in Bartow. They probably have it.
They still open at 8:00?
No. Or I could check in the deli.
Okay.
Those places don't close until like 9.
Okay.
That's why I'm going to Bartow.
Okay, so moving forward, let's talk about two things that can destroy the keratin in your hair: heat damage and bleach damage. The first question to answer for both of those: heat damage, bleach damage, is it reversible? And the answer is absolutely not. No, it is not reversible. Once heat damage happens, the only cure is to cut away the damaged parts so that it doesn't continue to damage the healthier part of your hair. Bleach damage, the same. Now, bleach damage is even worse because it's not just like stringy ends and stuff like it would be with heat damage. With bleach damage, what bleaching can cause a lot of problems with your hair, and it can go as deep as your hair follicles. It can cause what's called oxidative stress. And what happens is that oxidative stress affects your hair follicles and it weakens them and makes them so weak that it can't hold on to your hair anymore, and it literally lets go of your hair. That's when, how many of y'all seen the movie What's Love, the story of Tina Turner? Remember when she got her hair not perm, when she was getting her hair bleached blonde, and she was laying there, and the oxidative stress, and the girl went to check on her, and clumps of her hair was just coming. She wasn't even making the effort. She was just doing like this, and big chunks of her hair was coming out. That is what oxidative stress causes to your hair follicles. It literally makes your hair fall out in clumps with no effort in trying in removing it. It also kills the keratin, so all of the bonds that hold your hair together are breaking. Not all of them, but most of them. So your hair is literally hanging on by strands and strings of hair, and the slightest pull is done. It pops. So the stencil strength goes from 100 to anywhere from 5 to 25. So it kills like 75% of the stencil strength of your hair. The stencil, not stencil, tensile strength. And that is generally how strong your hair is, how much you can pull it before it pops. Right? So heat damage and bleach damage are irreversible. This is why I don't use high heat. And listen clearly what I say, high heat. Do I use heat? Yes, but in low heat. Um, I'll blow dry hair when needed because I don't braid wet hair because that can, you know, lead to mildew growing in your hair. So you shouldn't braid wet hair. You have to dry the hair. But it doesn't have to be so hot where you're burning the person up, you know. Um, there's nothing wrong with getting silk presses, but take breaks. There are people that do it all the time. Take breaks. If you have a silk press this time, once you wash your hair, let it be for a little while. Then go back and get it. Don't get one every single time you go to get your hair done. You know, you have to give yourself breaks. Allow your hair time to recover and recoup, because if the damage is not done and it's just slight damage there, it can regenerate itself. But it can't do that once you kill everything. There's nothing to be generated. You took everything away. So be mindful of those things. This is why I don't use high intensive heat, because the demand for high intensive heat will be always there. You know, um, I do not bleach hair. in any way at all, ever. It's not that I can't. I absolutely can. I know how to formulate it. I know how to mix it properly and all those things. But my service is preventive care. Anything that I know that down the line is going to cause significant damage, that's going to be too high maintenance for the client to keep up with on their own. No, because all it takes is a moment of negligence to undo everything that you could have. You could leave from getting your hair bleached and constantly maintain it and do everything that you were told to do. And God forbid you get sick and you end up in the hospital and you can't do anything to your hair while you're in the hospital. Everything you did to take care of that bleached hair leading up to that is going to get undone, and your hair is going to become dry and brittle and permanently damaged and start to break off. And the only other thing that you can do is cut it away at that point. So the risk is too high. And I don't want to play a part in something that can't be undone. Things that can be repaired, that I can fix, that I can treat, we can experiment in. This is why color service is still a part of my service. However, bleaching is not a part of the coloring process. Not doing it. And I don't tell a person they can't bleach their hair. If you want to do it, that's your business. All that I ask is that you thoroughly educate yourself and make sure you have all the information, not just on what's being done, but also the aftercare that you have to be meticulous with. You have to be very meticulous with aftercare after bleaching your hair. Absolutely. Okay. A lot of dedication. And with my lock clients, one of the primary questions I ask is, why do you want to lock your hair? And the primary response is low maintenance. But then 5 minutes later, oh, well, later I might want to color my hair. Can I, I know for some of the colors I'm going to want, I need to bleach my hair. Can we do that? You just said you want low maintenance. The two don't go together. The two don't go together. So if you have locks and you want them because you want low maintenance, bleaching them ain't going to do that for you, because it's going to be a higher maintenance in keeping up with your hair to make sure that you can hold on to your hair as long as possible after putting bleach in it. But bleach is hard. Not something that I want to do. I did it once in the past with locks, and again, something happened with that client. They were not able to keep up with their maintenance, and the hair that was bleached, thankfully we only did the tips. The hair started becoming dry, brittle, and literally breaking away. Like, they were like, yeah, little chunks of my hair keep falling off on the ends. And I'm like, you want to just snip that off? We can do that, and so it doesn't damage the rest of your locks. And they did. Their locks is as long as mine now. So but you live and learn, right? Again, I don't want to discourage people from thinking for themselves and making their own decisions, but I want to encourage you to make sure you educate yourself thoroughly when it comes to risky procedures that you're doing on your hair. Bleaching hair is a very risky procedure, and that's why I don't do it. Preventive care is part of the organic hair that I put into taking care of locks and loose natural hair. Um, so just to remind you, even if you don't see a beautician on a regular basis and you are a do-it-yourselfer and you do your hair yourself, make an appointment with a professional that specializes in your type of hair so that they can go over and give you the insights of what your hair, what the structure of your hair is, what makes your hair. And that way you can definitely put together a regimen and a routine that is definitely going to benefit you and the growth of your hair and the health of your hair. I can take these off now because that reflection is killing me. Um, Please let me know if you have any questions that you would like to ask. Just put them on up in here. Um, I would like some feedback about this software that I'm using. So I'm going to just show some of the, well, this is one of Distractible Me's comments. She said, yes, she used S Curl back in the day. Um, she also said she had the Jerry Curl as a teen for Breezy Jesus. Yeah, I know. I know. Um, my niece came in earlier. There's her comments. So I'm able to show your comments, like when you ask questions and things like that. And that's important to me to be able to definitely um, be able to communicate with you guys. So if y'all are liking this software, because I actually do, the only problem I had was I forgot to hit go live with I'm not going to stop laughing about that. That was funny that that happened. But I'm learning, right? And that's the important thing. So if there are no more questions, life lesson. What is the life lesson I want to leave you with today? I was talking about this earlier, moving in silence. So earlier this week, I completely redesigned my website. I had been working and collabing with one of my clients who is a fantastic artist, Diamond Tanea, um, where I had a concept of what I wanted my logo to look like. And she is very meticulous with how she creates art and puts things together. And the two of us collabed together. She took my concept and she put it to paper and created what I had living up in here. I did not talk about any of these things. I just executed and did these things and spoke to who I needed to work with in order to execute. So moving in silence is very important for me. Two very important factors. If you follow me on any of my other social medias, you probably saw me talk about this. The number one, and it's not the most important, it's the more important. So number one, as in the first one that I'm going to say, is when it comes down to um, moving in silence, it's important because sometimes if you tell the wrong person, you just never know who you have a conversation with. You tell the wrong person what your plans are. Oftentimes, you don't know if you're dealing with somebody who's jealous or envious, and may take that information, make it their own, and execute it. And then when you're done and you didn't realize that that's what they were doing, they were like, "Oh, well, she took my idea." When it actually the reverse happened, they took your idea and executed it. Second, for me, which is the more important of two, is things don't always go as planned, right? So I could talk about how I want certain things to be as they are, but everybody isn't capable of manifesting what they desire. Because there's a difference between knowing that it's going to happen and just it being a fantasy or a desire of what they want. But it's like prayer. I always tell a person, praying is not enough. You still have to put it into action. You can ask God to guide you, but you still have to do the work. You can just pray and just sit back and think that God's going to just hand something to you. He's going to give you the tools that you need to execute and get it done. You still have to put the work and the effort in order for it to be manifested. And that comes with anything that you're planning to do in your life, in your business. To manifest it, you have to put the work in. So when things don't go as planned and you made this huge announcement that this is coming and it's going to be happening on that day and blah 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 blah, it builds hope to a capacity, especially if you have a platform or people's expectations of what you just said you were going to do is up here, and something happens that doesn't allow you to execute that plan. Two things can happen. It can make you look really incompetent, and with that, people lose faith and trust in you. And the other is to just make you look like a complete idiot. Like, wow, she says she ain't even a woman of her words. She's just doing a whole lot of talking and a whole lot of nothing. And that's why it's important for me to, I'll be like, I'm working on a project and I'm so excited to share it with you when I'm done. That's as far as I'll go with it. Oh, I've been working on something and I'm still working on stuff that I'm very excited to share with you later on down the line. If I announce something is going to be happening on a certain days because I've already done the work and it's complete, and now I just chose a release date to share it with you. So yeah, I can come through with it. Um, but there was a time, even when I started this, when I started doing Locs Talk Live, I made all this big announcement. I promoted it for like weeks leading up to the day. And what happened? We had a whole technical sound thing. And for me, it was so embarrassing. You have no idea. Um, One of my mental health disorders is called agoraphobia, and it's like anxiety or panic attacks that are triggered from embarrassing moments. So when my sound wasn't working and I was trying to figure it out and I couldn't figure it out, I was so upset, and you could see from the video that I had posted right after it explaining it, you can literally hear in my voice how I was fighting back the emotion that I was feeling behind it, because it feels like failure. I made all these promises and this was going to happen and it didn't happen that way, and it felt like failure to me. It didn't stop me from continuing to get up and keep going, because this is something I want to manifest and I want it to grow. So in order for that to happen, I have to keep putting the work back in. So yeah, as embarrassed as I was, I got up and I came back the next week, and I came back the next week and the next week and the next week. And today is my 11th Loc Talk. My 11th Locs Talk. Yes. So I'm almost 3 months in this now. So I'm going to keep doing it and keep growing and keep being persistent. So you move in silence. A lot of the suffering and sadness and embarrassment that I endured from that, and I'm sharing it out and open now, but I didn't show that to you at the time that it happened. But I can talk about it now because it was something that I overcame, and it was something that I was able to learn from and really learn how to navigate through. So it's very important for you when you're making plans, especially if it's something big that you want to manifest. Don't make so many huge announcements talking about what you're working on. If you're working on it, keep focusing on what you're working on. You can say, I'm working on something and I'm excited to share it with you when I'm done. When I'm done. That's important. Get done. Do the work and get done and then share it. Trust me, it will be so much better in every way. So, with that being said, I'm about 4 minutes away from a full hour. I don't see any more questions here. Um, I will say this: StreamYard. Um, I'm liking the software. I'm liking how it works. I have a whole backstage area here. So what I'm looking at on my computer is not what you're looking at. I still see myself on the screen like I'm on YouTube, but all of the information that I have here will allow me to be able to communicate better. I can definitely see your comments better. And it'll be easier for me to share the comments and the questions that you may be asking on the screen. So it's easier for others who might have just joined the live to know what it is I'm talking about at the moment and things like that. So as I continue to navigate and do this, I'm probably going to um, recruit a moderator that can do this with me so that like certain things that I might be talking about or topic change or whatever will come up on the screen so everybody knows what I'm talking about at the time. So I will give examples of, so when I was saying hair structure, right, I can put that up here on the screen and add the banner right here, right, and then it shows. So now I'm talking about hair structure, right? You can see hair structure just popped up on the screen. Boom. And I can blah, blah, blah about hair structure, right? And then when I'm done talking about hair structure, I can take the banner off, right? So now it goes right back to my name. See how that happens? So magic. So I like how that's working out. Um, I have nothing else to talk about, and I'm going to be a little shorter on this hour, and that's okay because I was just testing out the software. I will definitely have to do a yearly membership in order to keep using it. So, if you would just put in the comments your feedback about how you like this Locs Talk Live with the StreamYard software, it would help me to decide whether or not I'm going to continue using it because it does cost to get a membership. And second, because now it's spring and the sun is up for a longer period of time and things like that. Are we still okay with doing Locs Talk Live Wednesdays at 7 p.m. or would you like for me to change the day and or time to accommodate you? Because I know y'all want to be outside and doing y'all stuff outside and all of that stuff, right? So let me know that in the comments below as well. Share this live with other people who can benefit and have a healthier lifestyle with their hair and understanding their hair type now that I have dissected it and made you understand hair type better. So you can still say 4C based on your curl pattern or 4A or 3A or whatever. By the chart, when you see the little curl pattern, it goes from straight to wavy to spiral to zigzag curls. You can do that if you want to, but make sure you learn all the other parts of your hair, the structure of your hair, from the texture to the density to the porosity, and making sure that your hair is healthy and strong. Protein great treatments are excellent for helping keeping your keratin strong and your hair strong. But my refresher spray that I moisturize my hair with on a daily basis, it has wheat protein in it, so that helps strengthen my hair. It also has rice water and rice oil seed in it. So that also helps keep my hair nice and strong. And I also have my own natural mixes of oils that I keep on the table over there. Because again, everything doesn't work for everybody, including myself. And there are certain things that work for me, but not as effectively as I want them to. because of different changes. Like I have a lot of hormonal changes because I'm perimenopausal. So yeah, there's some extra stuff that I need to do for my hair. So I do make my own stuff for that. Um, we have reached the hour, which is why I rambled on because I always said that I will give an hour, even if I'm rambling about nothing. And that is part of me manifesting what I'm working towards. So I thank you for joining me for Locs Talk Live tonight. Thank you for coming in, even though I was delayed because I didn't realize I was supposed to hit that go live button in this software. So thank you so much. Take care. Bye.